Feature.
Oh, nope, it started. We're going.
Hello, welcome. I'm Trina and he's Jason.
Indeed. Hi.
And this is Life Divergent. In today's episode, we'll be discussing comorbidity at the intersection of neurodivergence types. So, Jason.
Yes, what's important to note about all of this is we are not medical or mental health professionals. So don't take this as official advice or anything like that. Whatever means we're not being held accountable.
Yeah, none of that. We are
for entertainment purposes only.
Yeah, we're two people who live divergent lives and we're here to talk about it. So these are our experiences. Okay, did you bring a friend today, Jason?
I did, yes.
Can you show us your friend?
I can. It's a little sloth.
Oh my gosh, that's adorable.
It is.
Sloth. I like that he has little purple fingies or nails or whatever those are. I brought two friends, but they're friends. Yay!
Got Sonic and Tails.
Yeah, Sonic and Tails. Yay!
Sonic's having a chili dog like he loves.
Yeah, of course. There's a mustard on it. And, of course, I brought a Nito because I need my Nito so that I can talk. Your cute little sloth is saying hello. Hello, sloth. Hello.
Okay.
All right.
Enough of that nonsense.
Moving right along. Okay.
All right. So we're talking about comorbidity, which is simply stated when two neurotypes overlap. It happens all the time. Up to 80% of people have that overlap. So we're going to go into some of those overlaps. And hey, let's start with ADHD and bipolar and what those have in common.
Well,
segue to you.
I know for me, one of the biggest things that I struggle with is racing thoughts. And I tend to have my mind just going crazy all the time. Meds help because I am medicated. However, there are times when I go off my meds, and there are times that I just can't be held back, I guess. So I have these racing thoughts. They just go and go and go and go. And I've found a couple of ways to deal with it so that it's not as bad. But a very unfortunate thing about my racing thoughts is then I just talk. And it's almost like I'm monologuing rather than having a meaningful conversation with someone. Even though I don't mean to do that, I can't stop myself.
And then when you're going and going and going, it's easier for people to tune that out because you don't have the dynamic impact on specific words or parts of the sentence. It's just one constant. It's like, you know how you tune out the fan or the computer humming because it's the same thing. You just start to turn out that rapid speech.
Yeah. Yes, exactly that.
And that's difficult to overcome, but can be done with practice.
Yes. And it's unfortunate because I feel like, okay, I probably feel this way because I'm the one doing it, but I feel like, some of the things I'm talking about are interesting or important or whatever, but my message doesn't make it across for the very reason that you said, because I just talk and don't allow for a conversation to happen. And do you seem to have, you have issues with this as well, right?
Yeah, especially when I get into something. If I'm speaking generally, the hey, how's it going, the weather, the whatever, that's normal. But when I'm talking about something I'm researching or something that I'm interested in, it's just, I need you to have as much of that in as short a period of time as possible. And so you just go off to the races.
And getting it out of your head. Do you experience the racing thoughts? Is that your mouth keeping up with your head?
Yeah, if the thoughts weren't racing, the speech wouldn't be able to.
Right.
So.
Okay.
Because, you don't just stay on the one topic. It's like here's a variation of that that's important. Let's go down that rabbit hole. We got to double back if we remember what it was that we're meant to double back to.
Don't even get me started on that. How
don't
many
need to.
times have I mean, I'm just like, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot what I was talking about. And then I'm just there. Yeah. It's a thing. And then I become agitated because I can't remember. And then I feel like my rapid speech and such can partially stem from restlessness too, because, or it helps me with my restlessness because the whole time that I'm talking, you can't really see it that much. I'm doing it now. I'm showing it more now, just to let you know that I use my hands a lot. I'm restless a lot. I'm pacing. I'm moving around while I'm talking. It's another thing that the two of those have in common too is the restlessness.
Yeah, I'm over here. My arms are crossed. My left middle finger's tapping against my ribs. My right leg's just kind of bouncing, just nonstop. Got to be moving. Got to go fast.
Yeah.
Same with talking. Like when I'm on the phone, I have to be mobile. Pacing. I don't know why it works this way, but if I am pacing when I'm talking, I'm able to think more clearly and more quickly than if I were to be seated. I don't know why. That is just a thing that happens, but I'm sure it has to do with the things we're discussing. It all comes together.
Yeah. I know when I took a public speaking course in college, one of the things that we learned was that by making yourself mobile while you're talking, it helps to burn energy. And so when you're in that state where your mind is racing and your mouth is racing, there's like so much energy. And I feel like the pacing, the restlessness is another way of trying to stabilize yourself to get that energy in check. I mean, I don't know for sure. I'm just kind of guessing based on what I know about public speaking, but it seems to make sense to me.
Yeah. So those are things you see in bipolar disorder. Those are things you see in ADHD. But let's throw ASD or autism in the mix. Like, what does that have to do with ADHD? How do they tie together? What do you think?
Well, there are hyperfocus and intense interests are two things that are things that overlap in these two things, and I think that those are. I just lost my train of thought. Go figure. But hyperfocus is something that both of those have. And in autism, oftentimes it's called a specialized or an intense interest. And with ADHD, one of the great things, even though hyperactive and attention deficit are in the title, a lot of people assume that that means that you can't focus. But one of the problems with ADHD for people is that they hyperfocus. They get stuck on one thing and focus too much. So these are things that overlap, and this is a thing that overlaps in ADHD and autism, is that hyperfocus and or the ability or the disability to focus on one thing.
So yeah, you take the ADHD hyperfocus on specific interests. You take the ASD focus on, you'll see people sometimes that have to have things up in a certain line or a certain order. And then organizing things becomes an extreme fixation because you have all that part of you looking at this one thing, making sure maybe everything's at a right angle. Or like, here's a for instance, I will sometimes doodle shapes while I'm listening to people. Like some people might draw little pictures. I just have shapes. You'll see I have notebooks full of triangles and within triangles within triangles, or squares coming off of triangles, normally polygons of some kind, nothing rounded or arc-like. And that just becomes the most intense focus. And it's nothing really of meaning or value other than drawing things that align in a certain way that I like.
That's intense. I didn't really realize that you did that. I mean, I doodle a lot, and it doesn't have to be the same thing. A lot of times it's just me doodling, writing words that I hear, but I'll get like so caught up on that um, all I'm hearing is I'm singling out words. So I'll lose the rest of what I'm supposed to be listening to because of that.
Well, I'm trying to find an example while you're explaining this to
Okay.
the audience. Oh, here's a good one. So I have a notebook that I just use for puzzle games if I'm keeping track of notes and I need a book for them.
Yeah.
But here's just, like, look at this side right here.
Oh, yeah.
See all those shapes and things? That's just what I was doing.
Yeah.
And that was just, I have so many of them on various pages, and then I just don't want to stop doing that. And it's like, I have to break away from that to get back to whatever it was I was doing before I started.
A place to
yeah.
doodle.
I remember you used to do that. I
Just
still do,
doodle.
but
Just words, and sometimes they're more than just words. Sometimes I doodle like shapes and stuff like that, hearts and so on, but again, just words. And I'll find any piece of paper just to write words and words and words. So
yeah, and then
again,
shifting away from that can be difficult.
Yeah, but it's a hyper focus. Just doodling. I love to do it, and I will go out of my way to find pieces of paper to doodle on, like, mail when it comes. Oh, envelope, doodle. Envelope, doodle. It just mail, whatever.
And it can be difficult to stop doing that.
Yes,
at least
it can.
For me, and I know I've mentioned this on 2 of them, but I got really sucked into watching some of the Justice League movies. And of this one particular story arc, which was 15 movies, I had to, I couldn't stop. It was very difficult to just break away for sleep, for eating, for anything. Like that's all there was. You can't transition away from that. You have to just finish doing the thing. There's no put it down and get back to it. Even though it'll be this, it's still there tomorrow. It'll still be there tomorrow.
Yep. I know that I don't experience as much difficulty transitioning as some other people, but I will tell you a story about my granddaughter, his niece. She would have difficulty transitioning even with thoughts or in plans. We would I would say to her, okay, we're going to go by the bakery, and then we're going to go to Walmart. And so that's what would be in her head. We're going to go to the bakery. We're going to go to Walmart. But then we'd go to the bakery, and I'd be like, oh, I forgot. I need to go to the post office. So then I'd throw the post office in, and she could not make that transition in her mind that we're going to do something else. Because in her mind, the transition was going to be, and it's not necessarily exactly the same, but it brings us to another point where symptoms overlap in ADHD and autism, is that she would experience emotional overwhelm when trying to transition in doing something different than what she thought we were going to be doing. And I know that a lot of people in any sort of transition that they're experiencing, it can cause them incredible stress, and they have great difficulty with overwhelm of emotions, and she would break down and melt down in a bad way.
Yeah, I see that mostly with autism, but it does come up in ADHD, and simply in my experience is not to that extreme degree, but to a degree for different reasons.
Right.
So, and it's not just transitions that can cause people that kind of stress. It could really just be different changes in sensation or the tastes of things, or just anything unexpected or outside of the pre-made plan, even generally speaking.
Yes. And then another thing that she experienced where she would have extreme emotions was sensory input. Like if she had to use a public restroom and it had the really the automatic toilets that flushed very loudly, she couldn't get off the toilet unless someone was in there with her, holding their hands over her ears so she could get up and collect herself. And then if they didn't have paper towel in the bathrooms, the hand dryers, she could not ever dry her hands. I usually had to let her dry her hands on my jeans or something like that because she couldn't deal with the noise, and she would get emotionally overwhelmed from those noises because of her sensory difficulties as well. And by the way, she has ADHD and autism too. So
diagnosed?
She has been to a therapist who believes that she has autism, but we haven't been to a specific autism center yet to have her diagnosed. But her therapist believes that she has autism, but she doesn't feel like she's the proper person to diagnose her. But ADHD, yes, diagnosed.
Okay. So I noticed that there are some descriptors that are apparent or obvious or that we've covered before that we're not going over again, but those ones you'll see in all three, which we're going to touch on in a bit. But for now, let's focus on how autism and bipolar disorder overlap. Now, big one for me is and we just talked about this a little bit with autism, is the routine sensitivity, where you have your plan, your pattern, and things need to go in that order. And it could be an extreme amount of stress if something changes unexpectedly or specific times aren't adhered to, or it can simply be maybe a disappointment or kind of a depressive episode if you had a plan and that changed and you just weren't prepared for it, and it could remind you of your best efforts aren't good enough, or just anything like that can put you in that state.
I feel like I don't have a lot of that now just because I don't have a lot going on. But when I worked, I was very methodical, very fastidious about what I was doing and how I was doing it. And I used to hate being interrupted, especially if I were doing something mathematical or something like that. But honestly, it was that way if I were doing something that had to do with writing. Some of the things that we had to write in our job. But I would get irritable if someone came and interrupted me because, hi, Pickle. She's going to smack me right in the face. Anyway, I would get irritable by that because it's like, all right, now I'm going to have to sit there and go back and figure out where I was. You interrupted my train of thought, and I'll probably never get it back, and I won't have that brilliant thought again that I just had.
Impossible.
So, anyhow.
Yeah, you have to do things a specific way at a specific time. You got your trainer. She's licking your hand. That's adorable.
She is. She's a lovey. Now she's biting me because she wants me to pet her. Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, it can be a little irritating when you just need to do things a certain way. And as you mentioned before, it can be overwhelming to have just unexpected things happen, or just any shifts in the plans or events, more so than just overwhelming. And then and then what do? You stress, you break down, you just can't move or exist beyond that moment because you don't know what you're meant to do or what needs to happen now that everything you thought was going to happen isn't. It's a lot.
Right. And then for me, sometimes it's like one of the reasons why I loved working from home was I didn't get interrupted as much. But if I did, because, we had team chats and things like that. If I got interrupted in the middle of what I was doing and someone says, you have to go do this now. Again, it's kind of going back to the routine thing. But sometimes I'd be like, okay, I need to take 5 minutes and I'll be back, because I would get so irritable, and I wouldn't melt down or anything like that necessarily, but it's like, I need to withdraw. I need to be away from everyone, everything, so I can collect my thoughts. Just I just need to step away because I'm so irritable now. I don't know how I'm going to behave. So I'd have to get away.
Yeah, and sometimes you just want to get away because, people.
Yeah. And that is kind of, I think, representative of a bigger problem with social withdrawal, for example, that after a day or a week of dealing with so much, I'll just say nonsense, for lack of a better way of putting it, all I want to do is just be away from people, because I've had my limit. My social battery has been drained now, so I just need to withdraw and be by myself and engage in things that I enjoy doing, or nothing, just depending on the situation.
Yeah. There's the if someone asks you what you're doing and you're like, oh, nothing, that doesn't mean you're free. It means I'm doing nothing. That is a specific decision I've made.
Right.
They're like, hey, what are you doing? Nothing. Oh, you want to come out with us? Well, no, I just told you I was doing something, which was nothing.
Yeah. Don't get me started. Jason and I once had this conversation about the concept of nothing that lasted forever. And
30 years ago.
Yeah. And my boyfriend at the time was just like, what are you people doing?
Oh, yeah, that too.
Yeah. Yeah. But we weren't idiots.
No.
Not at all. Anyway, so there's that. So I think that we pretty much covered, unless there's anything else that I missed, about overlapping symptoms between the pairs of those 3 neurodivergences.
Well, about those 2 specifically we were going over, I mean, I'm sure that there are a lot more. I mean, the world doesn't exist on 4 symptoms, right? But
right.
There are several that exist across all of them, basically.
Right.
Is she still biting you?
Yeah.
Okay.
She wants me to pet her, and I think she's grooming me. You know how cats groom each other by nibbling on their fur and stuff to clean? So I think she's grooming me. What she keeps doing, though, is sticking her butt right in my face, which I don't appreciate. Thank you, but no. All right. Sorry. So, yeah, as you said, there is overlap between the 3. There are symptoms that are shared across all 3 neurotypes. They're the same behaviors, but they have different causes.
You can move her.
Yes, I know. But I figure you're going to take us into this next area, so.
I don't even know what you said. I was distracted by the cat.
I said the common ground. We're going to be talking about the shared symptoms across all 3 neurotypes that we've talked about: autism, ADHD, and bipolar. And by the way, the reason that we've focused on these 3 is because they're the 3 that we're familiar with, that we struggle with. So we figure we're not authorities, we're not experts or anything like that. But as far as living a divergent life, dealing with these things, we have some experience. So there we are.
Yep. Well, as we just learned, one of the common things is difficulty concentrating, just maintaining your attention or focus on a thing. Just the cat had the little wavy tail, and I'm like, oh, baby. It's just all of a sudden that became the most important thing in my life. Just between that, just distractions in general, really, not just, doesn't have to be movement like the waving of a red cape or anything. But there's so many things that are interesting,
There are.
You want to look at them or explore them, or maybe you just can't stay focused on something because your mind won't let you, even if it's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I can be, knee deep in research on something, and someone, again, this is another reason why this bothers me. Someone can come up to me and say something to me that's really interesting. For example, with planning out this podcast, as I've stated before, I came up with so many ideas for different episodes, and I had asked my daughter, yeah, can you help me come up with some ideas? And she did that one day. And then another day, she just randomly, while I was knee deep in researching something, she texted me another idea. And I was like, I haven't gotten that far yet. And she's like, well, you asked me to tell you. And I'm like, oh, I didn't mean it like that. I know in text it sounded really bad. But then it's like, oh, okay. And then I ran off and started researching that one midway through researching this other one because I didn't want to forget. So it's like what I started doing then was just creating the folders for the ideas and then researching because they just kept coming. I couldn't anyway. So difficulty concentrating on one thing because there were so many other things that just kept grabbing my attention. Yeah.
Well, your response to her via text and then subsequent explanation is something that's not unusual from a broader perspective when you look at all three of these. Just difficulties interacting with anyone, like friends, coworkers, random folk that you meet on the road, whatever. References.
Dropping folk on the road. Yeah.
So it has to do with just misunderstanding the social cues, perhaps recognizing when someone is totally done with the conversation, or when you do recognize it, but it's more important that you finish saying what you're saying.
Yeah. It's challenging to misread cues, and again, I withdraw a lot, and so I feel like I misread a lot nowadays, a lot more than I used to, because I've gotten out of, like, we all talk to each other. Jason's in a different state than we are. We're in Michigan. I don't know if he wants me to say where he is, but he's elsewhere. But so most of our communication is done by text, even with people in the same house. We're all in a group chat and we just text from our own bedrooms or whatever here. And so it becomes difficult, I think, even more so now for me to pick up on certain nuances in social situations, or when somebody's talking to me, or even texting, even now when somebody's talking to me in person. I find that Courtney and I have a lot of misunderstandings now because I'm so out of tune to having vocal conversations with people. So I think that that kind of gets me to the point too where because we're having our misunderstandings, I start to experience a lot of emotional dysregulation because I feel like I'm not understood. I'll shut down if I feel like she doesn't understand me and I don't know how to get through to her, so I'll just shut down, which is a problem for me because I already have some issues anyway with the bipolar, with my mood swings and that kind of stuff. So it's very easy for me to be offended or to feel offended. And I think it is for her too, in the way that she was like, you told me to let you know of things on ideas that come up, when I really didn't mean that. So I didn't mean it in a bad way.
I have a story.
Oh, yay. I like stories.
Yes. So back, I was literally about to say back when I was younger. It's like, well, no shit. Any moment before the current is when I was younger.
Back in '06.
Awesome.
I don't know.
All right. So when I was a child in like the 6 to 8 year old range, I was in the Boy Scouts. and we went camping a lot. One particular camping event, we were roasting some marshmallows by the fire. And the little marshmallow roasty stick I had, I liked it, and I kind of burned the end of it, and it was nice, smooth, and spear-like, and that was cool. And so I liked it. It was my favorite stick, and I wanted to carry it with me. And so eventually we had to stop and go do some other things. But when I came back to the fire where I'd left it, someone had stepped on it and it broke. And like the top, I don't know, like 4 inches of it broke off. And I was devastated. And my dad was pissed off at me because he's an asshole. But ignoring that, I then kept that part of the stick like in my backpack for several months after that. Because
We are divorced, by the way. Sorry, go on. I thought that was relevant.
No, that was the end of the story.
It's not. Go on.
That was the end of the story.
Oh.
You may have missed the end of it, but I ended it.
Okay. I thought there was more and you were just being like, see, you interrupted me.
No, that was it. That's all there is.
Okay. Yeah. We all have feelings about the dad. There's a reason we're divorced. And it was not out of impulsivity. It was a long thing. However, I feel like I've gotten into relationships out of impulsive acts, probably into a relationship with your dad in addition to that. You know, a night fueled with alcohol and
Don't
dreams.
need to hear that.
Huh?
Don't need to hear that.
Well, that's how we got together. That's not how you were created.
Okay, fine. This is good. Let me just step away for a second.
Okay.
Impulsivity, yeah.
Yeah, it's a thing. Acting without thinking. Yeah, definitely. I do that when I'm talking sometimes. I say things that I think that certain company might not like to hear or know about. Like, oh, maybe like what I just did would be an example of that. Didn't even occur to me that that might affect you in a certain way.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I was going to throw an example about being impulsive in some way, but
Go ahead. This is perfect time.
I completely have nothing. Drawing a blank.
You have nothing?
I
Nope.
don't think I'm that impulsive.
No, I wouldn't say that you are. I think that in general, you and I are both pretty chill people. But my biggest impulsivities come from things like shopping, as I mentioned in another couple of episodes, I guess, where if I see something I want, I would buy it to the point that I wrecked myself, you know?
Should have checked yourself.
Yeah, I should have checked myself. So what I do now is I put stuff in my cart, like on Amazon. I'll put stuff in my cart. It makes me feel good. Just the searching, the finding, the dreaming. Someday. But yeah. Oh.
You reminded me. I'm sorry to have interrupted with my oh.
This is how you remind. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. I probably am impulsive, but when it concerns buying and things like that, and I think I mentioned this before, I don't have my billing information saved on websites in which I might make purchases, and I keep any of my cards, debit or credit, like on the other side of the apartment. So if I want to buy something, I can't just add to cart and get. I have to go get my card, come back, type in. And sometimes I just don't want to do all that, and it's not worth it. And I got to a point, I think, where I just don't make the impulsive shopping decisions because I've conditioned myself to it's not worth the effort.
That's good. I think that's a great practical way of dealing with impulsivity. My shopping cart is my way now of dealing with it, putting things in. But of course, so many things now have buy now option.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to resist that urge and just add it to my cart.
It's a good thing I stopped playing mobile games because all these little microtransactions, there's this Google one-tap buy thing. like 3 seconds later you purchase something. So I don't deal with that.
Oh my God. I stopped playing all mobile games too.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, if I just do this, and the thing is, spending the money was like a dopamine thing. Like, oh, I'm going to get stuff, da, 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 and I'd spend like X amount of money anticipating that the rewards from spending that money would be great. And I was almost always disappointed. And then it's like, oh, do I need to spend more money? How much money do I actually need to spend to satisfy my wants and desires here?
Dopamine's a hell of a drug.
Yeah, it's terrible, terrible, terrible.
Okay.
And that again, I think that when you're doing things like that, especially when it comes to spending, it can really it could send me into like this spiral of emotional dysregulation, where I'd be like, oh, I'm so excited, I'm so excited, I'm so, and on top of already having my conditions, I mean, because it would literally affect me, like I'd be so up and so up about the spending and the potential and the just all of that, and then when it didn't work out the way that I anticipated, I would literally be so down, and sometimes I'd just walk away from the game and just have to go do something else because I just couldn't deal with my sadness, I guess.
Well, you could have just slept it off, really. Oh, what's that? A natural segue to sleep disturbances. Let's talk about that.
Hey, I made an actual segue to emotional dysregulation. Come on, give me some credit here.
Credit's all yours.
Sleep disturbances, yeah. Oh my gosh.
Nah, for real though. I can't really speak to this. I take melatonin at like, if I'm up late at 11:30, 12 o'clock, and then I'm just out until the alarm goes off. No issues.
I think you said that you think melatonin has changed because many years ago I struggled with sleep and I worked so many hours in a day, and it was like, does not behoove me to be tired. And so I tried taking melatonin, and it didn't work for me. And I don't know, excuse me, I have to readjust. I don't know if they've changed it now or not, but it might be something I want to consider taking again, because I've seriously considered talking to my doctor about getting something to help me sleep at night, because except when I have a crash and I sleep for a day and a half or whatever, I struggle with sleep getting 4 or 5 hours a night. Or if I do that because I don't have a job, I may sleep at inappropriate times, what general society would call inappropriate times, I guess. But I've considered talking to my doctor about getting on some medication, but I think that if melatonin would work for me, again, not advice, this is what I'm considering based on what's working for my son. So,
yes, talk to your doctor to see if melatonin is right for you.
yeah. So I'm considering trying melatonin to see if that helps with my sleep issues. And it's like, my sleep is so all over the place. It would be nice if it were consistent, if it were consistently screwed up. Like, all right, I'd go to sleep at 10 and wake up at 2 and then be up for 5 hours and then sleep for an hour and then be up. If it were like that every night, then it's like, okay, I can adjust and I can not lay there tossing and turning and trying to go to sleep. But it's not consistent. So I'm always so hopeful, and I'm laying there and I have something playing in the background that I've heard or seen a bazillion times so that I don't get interested in it. But there's no pattern. It's just all over the place. All over. All right. So I think that we covered the 3 where they intersect. Do you think that we've covered them pretty well?
Yeah. I mean, there's so much to cover. We could tell stories probably forever.
Yeah, and we could go on for hours probably, but we don't have that kind of time. So, But what we do want to do is discuss, why it's important to know this stuff, why it's important to understand that there is comorbidity, or would you call it trimorbidity? I don't know, where three things intersect. Because as Jason said early on, studies do show that up to 80% of people with one neurotype do also meet the criteria for another one. Having more than one is not rare, it's typical. So it's not the exception, it's the rule, that most likely if you have one, you're going to have another. That's important because when it comes to getting diagnosed, you need to know these things, right?
And considering that similar symptoms can have the different causes, one condition can mask or be mistaken for the other. So self-misdiagnosis is common, and it's so critical that people do not hear some random Yahoo on the internet talk about something and think they can diagnose themselves. That is not how it works. Your neurotype has to be fully understood by a mental health professional, and that's the only way you can tell if something in you becomes like really bad or really dark. Why is that happening? What is pulling it in that direction? And how is that treated? And how do you even know? I just gotta say, there are so many people who think that they can read a lot about something and be qualified to diagnose themselves. I don't care if you are the most intelligent person with an eidetic memory and the fastest reading ability in the world. You are not going to pick up on a few Wikipedia pages what a doctor studies their entire life. I promise you.
Right. I mean, Jason and I both have degrees in psychology, but we're not sitting here professing to understand or be diagnostician. Say the word.
Diagnostician, and that's not even a real thing. That's what House did on a show. Diagnostician.
People who diagnose people. Yeah, that. We're not
doctors.
We don't profess to be. What we know is what we live with and what helps us, what we experience. But when it comes to this, it's really important to understand that if you are misdiagnosed, you could be being treated in a way that could be more harmful to you. So it's really important that you not self-medicate, that you not try to treat yourself, that you seek medical help so that you can get the right help that you need.
Yeah, and everyone's different. If you go to a doctor and the medicine's prescribed and it doesn't work the way you think it should, or it seems to make things worse, that doesn't mean the doctor's a quack. It means that specific medicine doesn't work with your specific brain. So you try another one. And that's just how medicine works, honestly. Everyone's brain chemistry is a little bit different.
Well, as they say, if you've met one neurodivergent person, you've met one neurodivergent person.
That is a fun expression. I like that.
Thank you.
Did you just make that up?
No.
Okay.
I've heard before, if you've met one autistic person, you've met one autistic person. I replaced it with neurodivergent. So no, I haven't. I did not make it up, but I like it.
Okay, well, you can coin that term.
Thank you.
Anyway, moving on.
I'm sorry I interrupted a thought. Were you done with it?
Yes.
Okay.
I said,
good.
So moving on, and that's where you say the next thing, because I don't know what the next thing is.
The next thing is
goodbye. I mean,
our episode that we have coming up, our next episode, which is going to be tips for navigating ADHD. Specifically, okay, can I just throw something in here real quick? I have lesions, not legions, but lesions on my brain. And so because of that, it prevents me sometimes from saying words. It's not that I don't know the words. I do know them and I can say them in my head, but when they try to come out, they don't come out right. Just so that you know, I'm not really a blithering idiot. Just play one on TV. Anyway.
Has legions of blithering idiots storming her brain.
Anyway, so specifically things that have helped us, because again, we're not trying to give advice. We're just trying to give life experience. All right.
I'm not qualified to give advice. I can't even run my own life. Why would you listen
I
to me about
know.
anything?
I know I'm not doing it right. I'm trying to do it right, but then what is right? All right.
What is right? How do you define right?
All right. I think it's time to say goodnight
It is.
or goodbye.
Farewell.
Goodbye. Was there anything else we needed to say?
Now we literally just said bye and then the off button is next.
Okay. Bye.